I still remember the exact moment my phone rang that morning. It was a quiet Tuesday, the kind of day where nothing feels urgent, until suddenly everything does. I was folding laundry in the living room when my phone lit up with an unfamiliar number. At first, I thought it was a telemarketer. I almost ignored it, but something, maybe a mother's instinct, made me swipe the screen. "Hello?" I answered casually. "Ma'am, this is Daniel Herrera, your son's wedding photographer." My heart paused. 6 months had passed since Adam's wedding. 6 months since the happiest, and in many ways, the loneliest day of my life. I felt a strange tightness in my chest. "Oh, Daniel, hello. Is everything all right?" I tried to sound normal. But his silence wasn't normal. It wasn't the silence of bad connection. It was the silence of someone rehearsing their next words carefully. "Ma'am," he said slowly, I found something." No mother wants to hear those words. Not from a doctor. Not from a police officer. And certainly not from someone who took pictures at her son's wedding. "What do you mean? Found what?" I asked. He took a breath. "Can you come to my studio? It's better if I show you in person." My mind raced. Why now? Why 6 months later? What could possibly be in those photos? I tried to protest. Is something wrong with the pictures? Did Adam ask for them? "No," he cut in gently. "This is about you." My heart dropped so hard I felt dizzy. About me? Why would anything at my son's wedding be about me? I hesitated. "All right, I'll come." After hanging up, I sat on the couch staring at the wall. The house felt colder than usual. Maybe it was just my nerves. Maybe it was the memory of the wedding, the day my son barely looked at me, the day his wife's family treated me like an outsider, watching from the shadows, the day I felt replaced. I grabbed my car keys before my thoughts swallowed me whole. On the drive to his studio, every red light felt personal, as if the universe was warning me to stop, to turn around, to let whatever Daniel discovered remain hidden. But mothers don't turn away from the truth, even when it hurts. By the time I reached his tiny studio, a modest brick building squeezed between a bakery and an abandoned convenience store, my hands were trembling. Daniel met me at the door. He looked exhausted, as though he hadn't slept. "Ma'am, please, come inside." I followed him to a small desk where his laptop was open. He gestured for me to sit. I didn't notice it before, but when I was archiving the wedding files yesterday, I saw something in the background of the photos, something I think you need to see. My breath hitched. "What did you find, Daniel?" He clicked, and my world began to unravel. Daniel's fingers hovered nervously above the trackpad before he finally clicked open a folder labeled Wedding, Raw Files, Unsorted. The first image appeared on the screen, Adam and his bride, Alina, standing under the flower arch. They looked radiant, glowing, young, hopeful, but that wasn't what Daniel wanted me to see. He zoomed into the left corner of the picture. I didn't notice her before, but yesterday, while batch processing, something felt off. My eyes narrowed as the blurred background sharpened. A shape, a figure, a woman standing behind a tree, almost hidden in the shadows. Her posture was stiff, her hands were clasped, and although her face was partially turned away, it felt familiar. "Who is that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Daniel swallowed. "That's what I wanted to ask you." He clicked to the next photo, then the next, then the next. The woman appeared in every picture taken near the ceremony, always in the background, always near the trees, always half hidden, as if watching the entire event. Her clothing was simple. A long blue dress, the kind worn by someone attending a wedding but not wanting to be seen. Her hair was tied back, dark, straight, neat. Then on the 6th photo, her face turned just enough, and my breath caught. Because I knew that face, or rather, I thought I did. It was the face of someone who looked like me, 30 years ago. Younger, softer, but undeniably familiar. My blood ran cold. "Daniel, what is this?" I whispered, clutching the edge of the desk. "I don't know. But it's not just her being there, it's where she was standing." He zoomed out again and circled the area. "That patch of land, it's off limits. The venue told us the forest edge was blocked due to unstable ground. No guests were allowed near the trees. Security walked through the area twice. No one saw her." A chill crawled down my spine. "I don't understand," I murmured. He clicked another photo, this time a candid shot of me sitting alone at a table during the reception. My eyes were lowered, hands clasped tightly. Behind me, in the reflection of a glass panel, there she was. Closer, clearer, watching me. My hand flew to my mouth. Daniel lowered his voice. "Ma'am, whoever she is, she wasn't just wandering around the wedding. She was watching specific moments, especially moments involving you." I felt dizzy, the room tilting slightly. "I need copies," I whispered. "Every picture she's in." "Of course," Daniel replied quickly. "But there's more." "More?" My heart clenched. He opened one last photo, the final group portrait taken at the end of the night. Everyone was smiling, everyone looking into the camera, except one detail. There, at the far left edge, behind a row of guests, she wasn't just watching. She was smiling, but the smile wasn't warm. It was knowing, like she carried a secret meant only for me. Like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories. I stared at the screen so long my eyes began to blur. The woman's face, her expression, her quiet presence in the background of those photos, it gnawed at something deep inside me, a memory I couldn't quite reach, like a word on the tip of my tongue. Daniel watched me carefully. "Do you recognize her?" I hesitated. "Yes, but no," I finally whispered. "She looks like someone I used to know, or maybe someone I used to be." The idea sounded ridiculous even as I said it. A younger version of me, standing at my son's wedding, watching me like a shadow from the past. No, impossible. And yet, the resemblance was undeniable. I forced myself to breathe. "Let me see more." He nodded and opened a subfolder. "These are the ones I found after enhancing the background," he explained. "Look closely. Her positioning, it's almost deliberate." He clicked the first photo. It was a picture of Adam hugging his bride after the vows. But behind them, between the branches, the mystery woman's eyes were locked onto me. Not Adam, not Elena. Me. She wasn't there for the wedding. She was there for something else. Or someone else. Me. Daniel exhaled. "There's another thing I should tell you." I braced myself. "She appears in angles where she shouldn't be visible. Look at this." He pulled up two pictures taken simultaneously by two different assistants from opposite sides of the aisle. In one image, she was standing behind the tree on the left. In the other image, taken at the same second, she was positioned on the right side. My body went cold. How is that possible?" He shook his head. "It shouldn't be. I triple-checked the timestamps." My throat tightened. "So, what are you suggesting? That she can teleport?" He didn't smile. He didn't look like he was joking. He simply sighed. "I don't know what to call it, but there's one more photo, and it's the one that scared me." He opened a final image. It was a heavily cropped zoom from the reception hall. In it, the woman's face was clearer than ever. Her eyes, dark, intense, were fixed not just on me this time, but on someone standing beside me. Adam. She wasn't just watching me. She was watching my son. A sharp wave of nausea tore through me. Daniel, I breathed. Do you think she knows us? His voice dropped. Ma'am, she doesn't just know you. Look at this. He zoomed in one final time. The woman's wrist. A bracelet. Not just any bracelet, the exact bracelet my mother gave me when Adam was born. A bracelet I had lost 27 years ago. I felt the blood drain from my face. Where did she get that? I whispered, shaking. Daniel swallowed. That's why I called you. This isn't normal. This is personal. And with those words, the quiet terror in my chest became something else entirely. A realization that whoever this woman was, she had been part of my life long before the wedding, and she wasn't done yet. For a long moment, I couldn't speak. The bracelet on the woman's wrist glimmered faintly on the screen. Gold, thin, with a single blue stone. My hand instinctively touched my own bare wrist, where that bracelet once rested for years. I lost it when Adam was 3, I whispered. I searched the entire house. I turned every drawer upside down. It just vanished. Daniel leaned closer, and she's wearing it. My breath trembled. Memories raced through me. Memories I had buried so deeply I barely recognized them as mine. A woman in blue, a face in the doorway, a sensation of being watched when Adam was still a toddler, a shadow in the hallway I told myself was just exhaustion. I forced myself to steady my voice. Daniel, there's something I've never told anyone. He didn't push. He just waited. When Adam was around 2, I began noticing small things. Toys moved from where I left them. Back door unlocked, even though I swore I locked it. It just vanished. Daniel frowned. Kids pick up songs from anywhere. That's what I thought too, until one afternoon I walked into his room and found him looking out the window. When I asked who he was talking to, he said, "The lady in the blue dress." Daniel's face went pale. I told myself it was an imaginary friend. I wanted to believe that, but then the bracelet disappeared. It was the first piece of jewelry my mother ever gave me. Losing it broke my heart. I paused. That same week, Adam stopped mentioning the lady. The room went silent. Daniel finally spoke. You think this woman, whoever she is, was around your family before? My voice cracked. I don't know. I really don't. But the way she looked at Adam in that photo, I shook my head. It wasn't a stranger's look. Daniel hesitated. Then he clicked open one more image. This, he said quietly, was taken during the mother-son dance. The photo showed me and Adam on the dance floor, his arms around me gently, my eyes closed. I remember that moment clearly. I'd held back tears, wishing we were closer, wishing his new life didn't feel like it was pushing me out. But there, reflected in the glass of the DJ booth behind us, the woman. And this time she wasn't distant. She was standing directly behind Adam, watching him with an expression I couldn't understand. Protective? Possessive? Knowing? I couldn't decide. But one thing was clear. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't a stranger. This wasn't an accident. Someone had been watching my son for decades. Someone who should not exist. I gripped Daniel's hand without even realizing it. I need to know who she is, I whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. Then you need to talk to the one person who might know. I stared at him, confused. Who? He exhaled. Your mother. And that was the moment I felt the past, my past, rising like a storm I had spent my whole life outrunning. Like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories. I hadn't spoken to my mother in months, not because of anger, but because of silence. Over the years, she had grown quieter, more withdrawn, her memory sharp one day and foggy the next. Still, Daniel's words echoed in my head. Your mother might know. The moment I left the studio, I drove straight to her house. My hands shook on the steering wheel. The world outside felt unreal, like I had stepped into someone else's nightmare. When I arrived, she was sitting in her favorite chair, knitting, as always. Her gray hair was tied neatly at the back, and she smiled when she saw me, though there was something tired behind her eyes. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "you look pale. What happened?" I didn't know how to start. I sat down in front of her and held her hands, the same hands that once held mine when I was a child. "Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Her smile faded. I took a deep breath. "Do you remember the bracelet you gave me when Adam was born?" She nodded slowly. "Of course. You loved that bracelet. It disappeared when Adam was 3, and now I have seen someone wearing it." Her knitting needles froze mid-air. "Someone?" she repeated carefully. "Yes, a woman, at Adam's wedding. Someone who looks strangely familiar. Someone who's been in the background of photos. Someone who—" My voice cracked. "Mom, she has my bracelet." My mother stared at me, then looked away, her eyes distant, troubled. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, quietly, almost shaking, she whispered, "I hoped this day would never come." My heart dropped. "Mom, what do you mean?" She put the knitting aside and folded her hands in her lap. "There's something I never told you, something I thought I buried forever." The room felt suddenly smaller. "When you were pregnant with Adam, you weren't alone. There was someone else with you." I blinked. "Someone else? Who?" "You had a twin sister." I felt the world tilt. "A twin? Mom, what are you talking about?" She said, tears filling her eyes. "You were born healthy, but your sister, she wasn't. She had complications, breathing issues. The doctor said she wouldn't survive more than a few hours." I shook my head, unable to process it. But I never knew." She continued, "We buried her quietly. I didn't want you growing up with the weight of it. I didn't want to hurt you." My thoughts were spinning. "Mom, none of this explains the woman at the wedding." My mother reached for my hand. Her fingers were ice cold. "There's more," she whispered. "Your sister was never baptized. Your grandmother always believed that meant her soul might linger." I pulled my hand away, shaken. "Mom, are you telling me—" "She was born wearing a blue infant ribbon, and when she was buried, she had your bracelet wrapped in her blanket." The room went silent. My breath froze inside my chest. A woman in a blue dress. A bracelet buried with a baby who never got to live. A face that looked like mine. "Mom, are you saying the woman at the wedding is my sister?" Before she could answer, her phone on the table lit up. A message. From an unknown number. A photo. The mysterious woman. Standing outside my mother's house. My mother's hand trembled as she picked up her phone. The image on the screen was fresh, taken only minutes ago. The mysterious woman in the blue dress stood at the edge of my mother's lawn, her face partially shadowed by a nearby tree. Her expression was neither threatening nor friendly. It was expectant. "Mom," I whispered, "has she been here before?" My mother's lips pressed tightly together. "I've felt someone watching, but I thought it was just old age, my mind playing tricks." A cold weight settled in my stomach. I moved to the window and pulled the curtain aside slowly. There was no one there now, not even a footprint. "Maybe we should call the police." "For what?" my mother replied softly. "To tell them my dead daughter has returned?" Her words hit me like a slap. "Mom, you can't believe that—" But even as I said it, I wasn't sure anymore. I had seen the photos, the bracelet, the face, the inexplicable appearances. Before I could speak again, a soft knock sounded at the front door. My heart stopped. My mother reached out and gripped my wrist. "Don't answer it." The knock came again, 3 gentle taps. Not urgent, not loud. Almost polite.
I tiptoed toward the door, my pulse pounding so loudly it drowned out everything else. I pressed my eye to the peephole. No one. The porch was empty, but as I turned away, a faint rustle came from the side of the house, as if someone was circling the walls, brushing against the bushes. "Mom?" I called quietly. "Lock the back door." But when I went to the kitchen, I froze. The back door was slightly open, not enough for a person to enter, but just enough to suggest it had been touched. From the inside or the outside, I didn't know. I slowly pushed it closed and locked the bolt. "Sweetheart," my mother said behind me, "sit down. We need to finish this conversation." Reluctantly, I joined her in the living room, though my eyes kept flicking toward the windows. My mother took a slow, shaky breath. "There were signs, even when you were children. Your sister's crib would rock on its own. Toys would fall from shelves. Cold spots in the house. Your grandmother believed her spirit wasn't at peace." I swallowed. Why would she appear now? Why at Adam's wedding? My mother hesitated. "Your grandmother had a theory. Souls that leave too soon attach themselves to bloodlines. They watch, they follow, they protect." But she wasn't protecting. She was watching. And not just me. Adam, too. My mother looked down at her hands. Maybe she feels connected to him. Maybe she feels he has something that should have been hers. A chill ran through my knee. What does that mean? Before she could answer, the house suddenly went silent. Too silent, like the air had thickened. Then, from the hallway, a soft thump echoed, as if someone had stepped inside. My mother's eyes widened with fear. "She's here."
Like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories. The sound from the hallway was faint, soft enough that someone could dismiss it as the house settling. But not us. Not after everything we'd seen, everything we'd learned. My mother clutched the arms of her chair, her eyes locked on the dark hallway, as though she expected something or someone to step out at any moment. "Don't move," I whispered. But even as I said it, the air in the room shifted. It grew colder, not freezing, but cool enough that the hairs on my arms stood up. Something unseen brushed the space between us, a presence impossible to describe, yet impossible to deny. I took a slow step toward the hallway. "If someone is there," I called out, my voice trembling, "please show yourself." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a soft, gentle sound filled the air, like the faint rustle of fabric sliding against a wall. Blue fabric. I inched forward until I stood at the threshold of the hallway. The light from the living room barely reached past the first few feet, leaving the far end in shadow. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "Who are you? What do you want?" A shape shifted in the darkness. I froze. Slowly, painfully slowly, a figure stepped forward just enough for the dim light to grace her face. My breath lodged in my throat. It was her, the woman in the photos, the woman in the blue dress. But standing in front of me now, she looked different, more solid, more real. Her skin was pale, but not ghostly. Her eyes were dark, deep, almost soft. And her face, it truly was like mine. Not identical, but undeniably connected. Like a mirror reflecting a life I could have lived, had fate made a different choice. Her lips parted, as though she were trying to speak, but no sound came out. I lifted my trembling hand. "Are you my sister?" Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with a kind of sorrow deeper than anything I could understand. Slowly, she nodded. My breath shuddered out of me. Behind me, my mother gasped softly. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," she whispered into her hands. "I never meant." The woman's gaze shifted to our mother. The expression she wore wasn't anger. It wasn't blame. It was longing. as though she had waited decades for this moment, to finally be seen, acknowledged, remembered. I took a step toward her. "Why did you come back? Why now?" Her eyes drifted downward, then toward the front door. "Adam?" I whispered. She didn't answer, but her silence was enough. She was here because of him. I tried again. "Do you want something from him? Are you trying to warn us? Protect him?" The woman lifted her hand slowly, shakily, and pointed toward the window. I turned. A car was pulling into the driveway. Adam's car. My heart slammed against my ribs. "He's here." I looked back at the woman. She wasn't in the hallway anymore. She was standing right behind me. A cold shiver shot up my spine. I turned slowly, too slowly, and there she was. My sister, the woman in blue. No longer distant, no longer hiding behind trees or reflections. She stood inches behind me, close enough that I could feel the air shift with her presence. Adam's car door slammed outside. My mother clutched her chest, whispering frantic prayers. The house felt suspended in a heavy, silent tension, like the moment before lightning strikes. I whispered, "Please, don't hurt him." The woman's face softened, and for the first time, she looked almost humanly vulnerable. She lifted her hand and placed it gently, almost delicately, over her own heart, then extended that same hand toward me. It wasn't a threat. It was a plea to understand. The front door opened. "Mom? Grandma?" Adam's voice echoed from the foyer. My phone died. I was nearby and thought I'd stop by. He stepped into the living room, smiling until he saw the look on our faces. "What's going on?" Then his eyes flicked behind me and widened. He saw her. My heart nearly stopped. "Adam, you can see her?" He swallowed hard, nodding. His voice shook. "Mom, she's been following me for months." My knees nearly buckled. "What?" He kept staring at her, terrified yet mesmerized. Sometimes I'd see her in reflections, in the corner of a room, near the window of the new apartment. His voice broke. "I didn't want to scare you, so I kept quiet." The woman stepped forward, not toward me, toward Adam. Fear shot through me. I moved to stand between them, but Adam gently held my arm. "Mom, wait." My sister reached out her hand. Adam hesitated, glancing at me. "She won't hurt you," I whispered, praying I was right. Slowly, cautiously, Adam extended his hand. The moment their palms touched, the room filled with a soft rush of cold air. The lights flickered, not violently, but like candles trembling in a breeze. The woman's eyes shimmered as if holding tears she couldn't physically shed. I suddenly understood. She was never here to take. She was here to see the life she never got. To see me. To see Adam. To see the family she was born into but never lived long enough to belong to. My sister lifted Adam's hand gently to her cheek. Her expression softened into one of peace. Then she turned to me. Her lips formed silent words. 3 words. "Thank you, sister." A soft glow, pale and blue, wrapped around her like morning mist. She stepped back, and with one last peaceful smile, she vanished. Just like that, Adam let out a shaky breath and sank onto the couch. I fell beside him, and my mother covered her face, sobbing quietly, not from fear, but release. For the first time, the house felt warm again. Adam touched my shoulder. "Mom, who was she?" I smiled through tears. "Your aunt," I whispered. "Your twin aunt, the one who's been protecting us all these years." He nodded slowly, absorbing it. And somehow I knew this chapter, this haunting, this mystery was finally closed. My sister wasn't lost anymore. She found her family, and we finally saw her. Thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe for more emotional storytelling.